Right now I have somebody else that will be talking to us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Please, can you start by introducing yourself?
My name is Oniha. I'm the Director General of the Debt Management Office.
Okay, well, we thank you for your speech, but could you just give us what you feel will be your essential point you'd like to drive home from that?
I think the major point here is to say that the financial market is a source of capital for investments, and the government is pursuing a growth and a development policy. And that would not happen all by the government itself. So government is not going to make all the investments, but is actively encouraging the private sector through various incentives. Okay, now the private sector would need capital to be able to benefit from those incentives, invest in infrastructure, in projects that will lead to growth and development. So that is the challenge I would like to leave with all the stakeholders in the capital market, that it must work for the economy, must support the growth of government. As you know, apart from the various incentives and policies that the government has put in place, the Debt Management Office too has done a lot to provide, as it were, a platform, a basis for the capital market in terms of fixed income securities. So there's a sovereign yield curve, there's liquidity, there's transparency, there's price discovery. So on the back of that, really, we expect to see increased activity in the private sector. So be looking to private investors in Nigeria, or even foreign investors, who want to invest in agriculture, for instance, or PPP activities with government, be able to issue long-tenured bonds, be able to issue other securities. They should be able to raise equity, for instance, if they need equity, whatever it is, and other derivatives. So we're expecting a major shift in the market, if I may say so.
Okay, now if you look at the market from your own perspective, a lot of people will be saying, why hasn't the finances come in despite some of the changes that has come forward, some of the legislation, ease of doing business and all that? Would you say there are things we can do better to help draw in more funds, even from ordinary Nigerians in the economy?
I would say certainly. I think we have to remember that we're in recession for some time. Okay, so the various initiatives and policies that government has introduced certainly will take time before they are translated into plans, into infrastructure and things like that. So let's just say we need some time. But next to that is part of what we said this morning, the capital market. So when equities, new issues of equities, for instance, are not at a high level, those who need funds from the market should be able to issue bonds. Okay? They should be able to raise funds one way or the other. And the point you made in terms of how the average Nigerian can participate in the capital market, one, you expect that most of that category is in the savings side. So they should have securities in the market where they can invest. And that speaks to the role of mutual funds, unit trusts, whatever name you call them. That's how the retail investment is channeled in the US and in Europe. In any advanced economies, mutual funds and retail funds and unit trusts are where those people participate. But having said that, nothing says you can't launch a retail product, which is why the DMO introduced the FGN savings bond. If you look at it, it has grown. We probably have about 10,000 investors now, if we look at it starting from a zero base about a year ago. So the market is there, may require some work, a lot of sensitization and education, but it is there.
And you are confident that we can really utilize this market to raise businesses, to finance new businesses and all that?
Absolutely. Because apart from the local investor base, don't forget we have large investors here. We have the pension funds, asset managers. And if I may quickly add, one of the things the federal government started doing last year was reducing the level of its borrowing in the domestic market so there can be funds. As we speak, between December and last year and June, the federal government had repaid over 800 billion of its own securities that matured. What it means really, that money is available. If there were corporate bonds or large corporates who needed the money, the funds are there, so it's possible. And I think we have to look at the history of the Nigerian capital market. The market supported the indigenization policy those many years ago. It supported also the privatization exercise of government. And we saw it during the consolidation of the banking sector. So it is possible. If we challenge ourselves, it is possible.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Well, you heard her there. She said if we challenge ourselves and understand how to utilize this capital market, it can be a source for funds, a source for a lot that the economy really needs.